What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the cryptocurrency market. We'll talk about several different altcoin charts, quick peek over here at Bitcoin. But there's a topic I really wanted to talk about today, kind of just like brainstorming and going through thought processes of things, because I saw a tweet over here on Twitter by Sam Bankman-Fried, who is the CEO of FTX. And we've had Gary Gensler speaking this morning. We've had Jerome Powell speaking this morning. But Sam chimed in on the SEC and crypto, and it got my wheels turning and thinking about things. And it's a hard puzzle to solve, but I just wanted to kind of go down the rabbit hole of it just a little bit, and hopefully it sparks. I know a lot of people watch my channel. There's other content creators that watch my channel. Hopefully it gets your wheels turning to come up with some content and some research to think about and things to try to figure out. But I wanted to read this tweet that he said about securities and commodities, and people in the XRP community know the seriousness of getting your cryptocurrency labeled as a security from the SEC, or at least accused of being a security by the SEC. And with the deadline passing for various departments of the United States government having to respond to President Biden's executive order that he placed back in March, all that stuff was due just a couple of days ago. It seems like we're getting closer and closer to regulation happening here in the cryptocurrency market. So let's just read this tweet thread that he said right here real quick. I'm not a regulator. This is not legal advice, but my current best guess is consistent with what Gary Gensler says, that the CFTC will regulate spot plus futures for non-security tokens, and the SEC will regulate spot plus issuance of tokens that are securities. This is also consistent with the bill presented by these senators, and it's consistent with what Rostin Benham and others have said publicly. It seems pretty likely that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many forks and variants will not be securities, and that many other tokens will be securities. How about other large tokens, or futures or swaps on security tokens, or tokenized stocks? And what exactly is a stablecoin? We'll see. And for what it's worth, I think this is all pretty reasonable, and a resolution providing regulatory oversight along these lines would be healthy for consumers, protect against risk, prevent scams, give clarity to the industry, and allow liquidity to come back to the United States. But really, the thing that I really kind of focused on right here was number 3. It seems pretty likely that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many forks and variants will not be securities, and that many other tokens will be securities. Like moving forward, solving the puzzle of who those are, who these forks and variants will be or not be as securities, is probably going to be pretty important. Now, I've tried to make my best guess on those types of things before. I have felt the wrath of the SEC declaring something as a security and watched a 70% drop happen within a week and a half for XRP. I've tried to guess on what could or could not be a security. As Sam states, many forks and variants will not be securities. Hey, how about Bitcoin Cash? Totally a fork of Bitcoin, no pre-allocation. Well, you know what? Not too pretty. How about Litecoin? Also a fork of Bitcoin, no pre-allocation. Not too pretty. How about EOS? It was a security. They settled with the SEC. Everything cool. Still, nothing coming from it. So when I read something like this, what's like the first emotions that go through my head? The first thing I'm thinking to myself, all right, so Bitcoin and Ethereum, both of them are commodities, or at least not securities. And any type of forks or variants that are from Bitcoin or from Ethereum are not securities either. Whether that's right or whether that's wrong, I don't know. But that's where my mind goes when I read that. And I say, okay, well, if there's going to be some big wrath coming from the SEC, these are the ones that are going to be safe. Anything that's a fork from Bitcoin, fork from Ethereum, which Ethereum Classic, the original Ethereum. If you didn't know that, Ethereum Classic is the original Ethereum. Ethereum is a fork of Ethereum Classic. But is there going to be some massive flow to anything that is a commodity and a massive runaway from anything that is a security? It's hard to know. We look at Bitcoin Cash, just an absolute disappointment over here. And it's something I wouldn't have expected. I mean, you take a look at PayPal. What does PayPal offer? They've offered Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. You look at Robinhood. What have they offered? Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash was the 4th asset that Coinbase ever listed. They had Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Then number 4, Bitcoin Cash. So Bitcoin Cash, I'm not a legal advisor. It's not legal advice. Seems pretty obvious that it's not a security to me. It's merely a fork of Bitcoin. Anybody who held Bitcoin back in the summer of 2017 got Bitcoin Cash automatically deposited into their wallet when the hard fork happened. But still, even though it doesn't appear to be a security, it hasn't done that great. Now, one could argue it's completed capitulation. It's done. I mean, you can look over here what happened during the last bear market. You can see the initial crash, the breakdown, and then finally the capitulation. You have that same thing happening over here for Bitcoin Cash, right? The initial crash, the breakdown, then finally the capitulation happening in here. And that it seems pretty reasonable to think the bottom of Bitcoin Cash is actually in. But does it mean much, right? Does it not mean we just have a repeat of what happened back in here? You know, you head back up and then you waddle sideways for several years at the lows. Hard to know for Bitcoin Cash to say that it's going to break away this time and go off into an actual big run. I don't know. Structurally, looks like a completed crash to me. From a security standpoint, the fact that Coinbase, Robinhood, PayPal, and even over here in Canada, Canadian crypto exchanges impose $30,000 CAD annual limits for altcoins, excluding Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. So once again, you have Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash included in there, both of them hard forks of Bitcoin. I've had that thought process that neither Litecoin nor Bitcoin Cash were securities due to them both being hard forks of Bitcoin, but it didn't really net very much, right? And so I imagine this situation coming of where we're talking about here. It seems pretty likely that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many forks and variants will not be securities and that many other tokens will be securities. What happens to the cryptocurrency market in an event like that? What happens to the ones that get deemed as not being securities? And then what happens to the ones deemed being securities? What does the dynamic of the market do? I don't really know. The market has not cared up until this point. Now we can head over to FTX US, which Sam Bankman-Fried is the CEO of, and I'm not affiliated with FTX. I don't have affiliate links, nor am I promoting FTX, but we can take a look at the assets they have listed on their page, right? They have Ethereum, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Solana, Litecoin. We can take a look at the 24-hour volume that they have on these assets listed in here. You can see Ethereum's number one above Bitcoin. Who comes in at number 3? Bitcoin Cash, for some reason, with high volume over here. Go down a couple more spots, there's Litecoin again. So these 4 assets, excluding Solana, still, they make up the bulk of the volume over here on FTX. And we know that Sam Bankman-Fried's huge fan of Solana over here. We can look at the Bitcoin pairings, list them by volume. You have Ethereum, Solana. Again, there's Bitcoin Cash. Here's Litecoin further down the list. How about USD? Wowzers, big volume. There you go. Ethereum, $142 million in volume, followed by Bitcoin at 51, Solana at 19, Litecoin at 3, Bitcoin Cash at 2.9. So still, you've got these guys up here, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, still up here higher on the list, well above Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, right? And then listing all markets in order in here, Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, Litecoin. There's Bitcoin Cash. There's Bitcoin Cash again. I don't know. Food for thought. I'm not going to say this dude does have it all figured out on which one is a security and which one is not a security, but I would guess they're doing some pretty hard research when they're listing things on here for what is and what isn't a security. Things that are curious from it, right? We can go to CoinMarketCap and look up there. They don't have Binance. They don't have XRP. They don't have Cardano. They don't have Polkadot. So food for thought. And, pre-allocation may be the wrong word, but at least no like ICO or initial fundraising taking place for those hard forks. So we'll see how that goes. Those are things that I think about when it comes to regulation. And as we know, Ripple's been in this lawsuit with the SEC for about 2 years almost at this point. Lots of speculation that this thing will wrap up sometime this month, if not by November. Of course, for many of us, we've heard that many times before. Then the question comes, whatever, settlement comes out of that, does that also provide some type of regulatory clarity at the same time? So a big watch for that moment. If that moment ever comes down, if there ever is some big release of what's a security, what's not a security, what are the rules, I would suspect there'd be a lot of shifting happening in the market at that time. And I probably will have to adapt with the market at that time too, if that comes, if it does spell trouble, because I definitely don't want to go through one of these all over again. So let's go ahead and respond to SBF right now. Hey, Sam, 2-part question here. Do you have a list of tokens you feel are not securities? Do you believe the tokens listed on FTX are safe from the SEC and are not securities? I understand you're not a legal expert, but your customers would like to know. Thanks. And tweet. So we'll see if he responds to that. Let's go ahead and include Jeremy Hogan in this one. Hey, Jeremy Hogan, this would be a cool topic for you to cover. I know you've done videos covering tokens before, giving them a 1 to 10 score. A follow-up video would be awesome. So we'll see if anything comes out of these. Otherwise, heading over to the charts, pretty tame day in the market. I just kind of realized, I guess we didn't really cover that the markets had popped up since yesterday's video. Yesterday morning, we were down in here below 19,000. Obviously, we've reclaimed back above $19,000 this morning. I have dipped my toe in the sand and did make a small Bitcoin purchase yesterday for the first time since Bitcoin was below $4,000. Like I mentioned in yesterday's video, for me, I've presented all the theories on why the confluence of the market right now for Bitcoin is similar to that of the past. All of those confluences require that the low holds right here. If this low gets taken out, it will trigger a stop loss for me on Bitcoin. I will let go of it. But I have begun, crazy as it is, to accumulate a small amount of Bitcoin. I'm still in the camp of believing that the most likely thing for me is that Bitcoin's just going back into a retracement. So I will likely let go of some Bitcoin into a retracement, at least any freshly accumulated Bitcoin, because my primary focus is the altcoin market. It's where over 90% of my portfolio is in the altcoin market. As we can see yesterday, it's official over here on TradingView. The Bitcoin dominance has broken down into a new 4-year low. Now, the thing about this is that there's a lot of people screaming for bad price action to come for the altcoin market based on how Bitcoin is deep in this bear market and all that good stuff. But there's a problem with the hypothesis of that. And that's that every time we've been this deep into a bear market, the Bitcoin dominance should have already gone up drastically. You should be seeing Bitcoin dominance up 65% right now. It's not. It's breaking into new lows. You have a different dynamic happening in the market. Could there be pain for specific altcoins? Definitely, sure. But that dynamic right there says things are different. Something is not happening, as if we're deep into a bear market here for the Bitcoin dominance. We can see that clearly here. This Bitcoin dominance already reclaiming 65% upwards, with a 65% move upwards, 73% move upwards, 76% move upwards in the Bitcoin dominance during this time period. As we can see here right now, no, something different is happening here in the dynamic of Bitcoin, in which it is breaking to a new low. Comparing this moment in time to this moment in time is not a fair comparison, because you are having a breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance, whereas you should have a massive surge happening here in the Bitcoin dominance. So my main focus over here is what's going on with the altcoin market. This is an exciting time to see this Bitcoin dominance breaking down to the downside right here. We've spent a year and a half talking about this range. I've always said the structure says that the dominance is going to break to the downside, and taking a dang year and a half to do it, it has officially done it. It has broken to the downside. Now it's time to see what's going to happen to this market if this thing continues to gain speed now. So it was right all along. The dominance is breaking to the downside from the range. Now it's time to see what the market's going to do. Fingers crossed, things start happening quickly with all the catalysts we have coming in the next week that we have for Ethereum, XRP, and for Cardano. But there it is. A year of reply guys saying that the dominance was going to go up and having to preach over and over again. The structure says we break down, and boom, we got it. All right, I'm just playing. I don't get everything right? It's impossible to get everything right. This is one of those things that I've had to deal with. Just a ton of trash talking on this one. This was always a frustration point for me. It was a clear range. I'm glad to see it's finally doing it. I think a lot of people's hypotheses are getting tested right now on what they think's happening with the market, with that specific moment occurring right there, that you have a breakdown in the Bitcoin dominance. For me, that's exciting. Hoping for excitement coming to the altcoin market. And next week's full of events, and we know NFTs are coming to XRP. So we'll keep our eyes over here on the Bitcoin dominance, see if we're going to see some follow through there and speed pick up over there in the altcoin market. We'll see if we get a response out of Sam in regards to what he thinks are securities and what are not securities in regards to what's on his platform or his thoughts in the crypto market. Attorney Jeremy has already responded to me saying, me trying to figure out how the SEC is going to approach a crypto token. And we'll prepare for Ethereum's merge. Otherwise, pretty neutral day over here in the cryptocurrency market, with the bulk of the market in the green, some in the red, so pretty neutral. And so long as it stays like that, tomorrow will probably be dedicated to talking a lot about the XRP ledger, NFT amendment getting approved, and talking about Ethereum's merge, because those are the big events of next week. Otherwise, tame day in the markets today. Slight recovery off the lows we had a couple of days ago. The big thing, we're seeing the Bitcoin dominance break down to the downside. Now it's time to see what type of follow through comes from that. Otherwise, if I get a response from Sam, I'll relay that to you guys tomorrow. Seems like Jeremy's already saying the crystal ball, who knows? But until then, I'll check in with you guys tomorrow. I realize I haven't done a drumming update or a fish tank update in a couple of weeks. I'll give you guys that tomorrow. Until then, I'll catch you in the next one. But all right, guys, that's going to be it for this one. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.